We interrupt this program to bring you...
Well, I'm giving you the worst news a Santa Claus can get.
Oh, no.
You've lost weight.
Oh, no. I knew it. That's why I'm feeling so sluggish. And my belly's not moving like it used to when I laugh. It's not a belly full of jelly anymore.
You are down to only 3 chins.
And sometimes when I bend over, I'm starting to be able to see my feet. Wait a minute, Doc. Am I dying?
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
And I'm Adam.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. It's December, so you know what that means. Real Christmas. Real Christmas is a special event where we review all your favorite holiday movies, and today we've got something a little bit special for you. Not a movie per se, but we do have the Santa Clauses, the current final entry in the Santa Claus franchise. Scott Calvin is about to turn 65, realizing he can't be Santa forever, sets out to find a suitable replacement Santa, while preparing his family for a new adventure in life south of the pole. Wow, guys, I didn't think this series would be back at all. I remember this being first announced. Adam, what did you think when you heard there was going to be a Santa Claus TV show starring Tim Allen? Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it could have gone either way.
Are you super hyped? It's bigger than any Marvel franchise, clearly. That's what everyone was clamoring for, I think.
Yeah. Set up the Yuleverse.
Yeah, oh God. All right. John, what did you think? Well, what were your thoughts when they announced the Santa Clauses? Were you any kind of excitement, curiosity, something?
I was curious what they were going to do with Tim Allen, because when Tim Allen's usually on some projects, it could have potential to at least be decent, but I wasn't overhyping this.
Right. No, I completely agree. I mean, the first kind of reaction I heard with the Santa Clauses, I'm like, that's a strange choice. But Disney seems to be making those kind of choices. We've seen a lot of weird, I don't want to say continuation reboots. I want to say Cobra Kai, I think kind of made this new formula popular, and I think Disney's trying to capitalize on that, where they're continuing the story, right? But kind of embracing your nostalgia at the same time. I think that's what the Santa Clauses is, and to some degree, I don't think it's terrible. But at the same time, the Santa Clauses was not a good show, guys. I didn't really have a good time whatsoever. Adam, what were some of your early thoughts on this?
See, the issue I had was that some of the jokes landed. I thought that some of them were good.
Right.
But for the most part, I thought the story was going to go in one direction and ended up going a completely different direction, and it just did not work, I think.
All right, so Adam's in the do not work camp. John, how about you? What were some of your early thoughts on the show after checking it out?
I felt like it was a snooze fest almost. I was so glad that it was only a few episodes, that it wasn't one of those 10-episode kind of things. Yeah, I really don't think I could have made it through that.
Yeah, they graced us with 6 episodes, so thank you, Disney Plus, for doing us that honor. I don't know if I could have done more than that, but unfortunately, there is a season 2 announced. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that later, but let's just focus on the Santa Clauses. So the Santa Clauses is set after all 3 films. All 3 films are canon, because that's the hot word of the century now. So this takes place after that. Scott Calvin has his family. They're living in the North Pole. He's being Santa Claus. Again, I want to give them some credit here, right? I don't want to completely write this off. There's fun in this premise, right? Kind of like the original Santa Claus film, where what would happen if Santa Claus fell off a roof and you had to become Santa Claus. This is kind of what if Santa Claus had some performance issues? Right? Is that the vibe that you kind of got? Because that's the joke that they were going for, I think, throughout the show.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, yeah.
And it was kind of funny, right? I mean, it was more adult, right? I mean, the kids wouldn't necessarily get some of those jokes. His magic isn't working. He's not feeling what's going on. And I was actually kind of taken aback by that. That kind of reminded me of maybe a little bit closer to the original film. Not that the original film was super adult or anything like that, but it was edged in reality, right? And this was kind of like something a 65-year-old man, which it's crazy. Tim Allen's that old when I really go back and look at it. That he's 65 already. That's wild to me. It's something you would go through, right, as an older man. So Adam, you said some of the jokes worked, and I want to agree with you 100% with that. I think there's a lot of scenes that individually work in this show. A lot of the comedy, we'll talk about some of that in a little bit, but what were some of the things that you actually worked with this show? Because again, I get that feeling too. There was a lot of spots that worked.
I liked a lot of the interaction with the elves. I
Okay.
thought that some of them, I guess, making them a little bit more realistic or relatable too, because they're like adults,
Right.
adult kids, if you will.
Yeah, and I thought they played it pretty good. The young girl who played Betty, I
Yep.
thought she was fantastic.
Yeah,
I
no, she
really
was
did.
great.
She was really surprising, especially for a child actor. She played it so straight laced, and it was funny. Like that comedic time worked really well off Tim Allen, and to see him have chemistry with someone so young is pretty interesting too. And I think that's successful right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was definitely, she was one of the standout ones for me as well. I guess her husband, he was all right in some scenes. There were some parts where I was like,
Yeah,
but
like the idiot can only go so far when you have
yeah.
that character, like the Joyce idiot. He reminded me. I don't know if John. I know Adam. You haven't watched Stranger Things, but the kid who plays Dustin in Stranger Things, he kind of reminded me of him, like that very like their style of humor, very similar. John, did you get that kind of vibe from it, or?
No, yeah, definitely got that vibe from it. And yeah, like I felt like the acting from some people in this was actually decent,
Hmm.
which
Right.
was shocking from all the other films.
Right. And you know what? I'm gonna piggyback off that with a little bit of a negative here. I don't think Tim Allen really gave his all in this show. I kind of felt like, especially maybe more towards the end, it felt like phoned in for me. Did you guys get that kind of feeling at all, that he was just kind of going through the motions at some point during the filming of this, maybe?
It just felt more stiff this time around. Like it
Okay.
didn't have much more emotion or, personality to himself. It's just kind of like,
Right.
there, say this line, there, say this line.
Yeah, and his quips didn't feel like, you know how like Tim Allen, he always had like a really quit, and it
Yeah.
was really dry and like it was reactionary. I don't know. You think it's an age thing, maybe, or is it just the writing? Because I think the writing has a lot to do with that, maybe.
Maybe he was over it too.
You know, it's hard to tell, and a show could be exhausting for an actor of anyone, especially in comedy when you have to carry on a role like this. And I feel like this role maybe was decently demanding for him, but I don't know. I guess I got a vibe he just wasn't into it. And through 6 episodes, when you feel like your actor's not really into it and you're supposed to be into it, for me, it was a little bit hard to invest, I think. How about you, John? What did you like? Did you have any other characters that you really liked in the show, or any other performances that stood out to you?
Um, Not. I mean, I felt everybody was decently to okay. I didn't really feel like I hated any characters as much as I have in the past ones.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I could see that. Okay.
the guy who takes over as Santa Claus, I kind of, and sometimes I liked him, but then other times I was like, I just
Oh,
can't handle it.
oh man, is it this the Cal Penn syndrome or something like that? Anything he's in, and I don't think he's a terrible actor. I don't want to say that because I really don't think he is. But for me, he just annoyed me throughout this whole show, and I had no sympathy for him. And when you ask that kind of villain to have a turn, I couldn't feel for it. Adam, I see you shaking your head right away. I could tell you were very dissatisfied here.
I don't know. It just felt like he was overacting some of the scenes too. And I was just like, all right, dude, tone it down.
Right.
Relax.
And that's something to talk about too. Or I wonder if that's a symptom of like the Disney problem, I want to call it, where some things are too over the top. Like I know from watching, I know we're not talking about it right now, but like the Hocus Pocus movie that recently came out,
Hmm.
I thought that was pretty much a failure in a lot of regards, because they were trying to achieve something by imitating it, right? By kind of like you said, like overacting. They think by overacting that's paying tribute to something, when in reality you're actually hurting it slash making fun of it. And I don't think that's the correct move by Disney. I don't think that's what they should have been doing with this show.
I also feel like this show comes out at like a weird point. I feel like if this show came out maybe like 3 to 4 years ago,
Yeah.
it might be a little bit better and more like relatable than it is like now with everything going on too.
Right.
Like all the presents are being delivered by bots and this and that. It's kind of like, come on, guys.
Which brings us
Originality's not there.
Which brings us to one of the biggest problems, which I think there's two things that are wrong with this. And it's funny because I kind of compliment it in some ways of like, trying to steep itself in reality. But there's two things it does wrong here. It tries to be a social commentary on Christmas to an nauseating degree, in my opinion, with the whole delivering of packages and no one's happy. They just want the toy. I get it, okay? And a lot of Christmas movies have that kind of symbolism and they kind of give that commentary. The show just beats it into you and you get exhausted after a while. And not even that. Then we go into what's become, I guess, the Marvelification of the Santa Claus universe, like Adam said, the Yuleverse. That's what we're going with here. And I guess they're trying to play it for laughs and they think it's really funny. I couldn't stand it. I wanted to turn the show. I almost didn't make it. I really didn't. Adam, talk to me. What happened here?
I think that would have been more tolerable if they just kept it as like the previous Santa. Like, don't bring in all these other Santas. I don't need to see all of them. I would have just, the one would have been fine.
Right. And they just beat it into you. And there's like that whole, I think it's like episode 5, maybe 4 or 5. I think it's 4. I think
it's 4. It starts. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sucks because we actually got Bernard to come back, and Bernard, yep. I like him. I think he's really funny.
I liked him too. I thought he was great.
I do like him, and I like him in the show. He came back. He did his part. It was a little funny. They tried to sugarcoat like why he was gone for whatever reason, which right. I still really don't know why he was gone in the first place. Which I think we kind of joked around that it was like, oh, he probably was smart enough not to come back. But hey, Disney money talks. You got to show up every once in a while. He comes back, but at the same time, it's what we ultimately. I have an issue with this show. There's good moments, and that's a good moment like that, but it feels almost undercut and wasted. Like they just had a couple good ideas, which I think, and I don't know if you guys agree, I think a movie just would have been a better idea at this point. I don't think there needed to be a show at all.
No, I thought the same exact thing when I was watching this. I was like, this really should have been a movie, because at this point 6 episodes just drags it out, and I was like, there's so much filler here that we did not need.
Right. And what do you think about that, John? Do you agree with that kind of statement on this show? Or
oh yeah, but I think that's what a lot of these companies have been doing lately, is they're giving us movies that would be a lot better elongated as shows, and some of these shows that would have been way better as a shorter movie. Right. And they're like, hold on, let's just beat it all the way down to, you're like you want to get through the show, but you're like, how much do I really have to take to get it through this show?
Right. And I think there's a lot to be said right there, because with this show, we're supposed to be, experiencing the life of the Santa Clauses, right? The Santa Claus family. I couldn't give 2 shits about any of them, to be honest. The kids were really annoying. The son was really stupid. The VR joke just went way too far. Again, this is the social commentary thing, which is VR really that much of a thing with kids? I don't think it is. Like they're trying to act like it is for some reason. The daughter talks to animals. Kind of saw where that was going for a while. Like that was going to be her thing. I guess she's just going to talk to animals. And then Mrs. Claus, which that was kind of funny. I give them some credit there. They brought back the original actress, so kudos on that. Which again, kudos to bringing back as many people as they could, which they did do a really great job with that. But it's funny. It's funny in one hand because they're talking about how Mrs. Claus is just a character, and throughout the whole show, it's an ongoing joke. Right, every time they're like, "Oh, Mrs. Claus is just like a fat older lady on the side of the cookie tin." But who is she really? Who are the other Mrs. Claus? And we never really get an answer, which I think that's kind of funny too. There were some jokes like that work, but it just kept going. Right, Adam? I think I know Disney's really about female empowerment, and I am too. But it just feels like so forced and shoved in this show. It was a little strange for me.
Yeah, it just kept going through. I think it's at least 4 out of the 6 episodes. They like really drive it home.
Yeah, and it's awkward. It's more awkward than story fitting, I think.
Yeah, when it happened, I'm like, ugh, come on. Like, just I'd rather see it on the screen. Like, show me that.
Don't tell me, show me.
Yes,
that's our favorite thing. I think we like to say in this on this channel in general. Don't tell me something. Don't tell me. How lovable a character is or how kind they are. Show me them being kind. And with a show, you have the power to do that. Like, no one's stopping you from writing these characters better. But instead, we're just given weird one-off, like, little situations with them that feel just very loosely connected. Like, someone just had a sketchbook, started, like, sketching out scenes going forward and said, hey, let's just connect all this together. Very unsuccessful in that regard, I think. What about you, John? Did you find anything endearing about any of the newer characters, about the Santa Claus family? What did you think?
No, I thought that was a way to just add more episodes into this. I really felt like after the first two episodes, I was kind of just totally off interested in it. So getting through the rest, it was kind of like almost like every episode kind of blended together in a way.
Yeah.
So you're kind of just like, what was I even just watching? Like, and I think they were each like around 40 minutes, 45 minutes was
Yeah.
I think the longest one.
It felt long. And that intro, by the way, I really just have to tell you, what was with that intro?
Yeah,
What was
so
going on
weird.
there?
So weird.
I don't
I
get
watched-
that.
I watched it once and I was like, I'm never watching this again.
Yeah.
Like,
And it wasn't even
Like,
that long.
skip
It's literally
on.
like 2 seconds long.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it with the reindeers like face like, and then like zooming. Like, what is that? But what?
That really weird music.
Yeah, it was like this is not the Santa Claus. You know,
Like-
I don't understand.
I think we should have known when it started off like that. We should have just been like, all right, not going to be good now.
Right.
Mhm.
And I wonder too, like, the themes of Christmas are fun and all. We all have all these great holiday movies that we love to talk about and stuff. And that's something I always wonder too, is like maybe this is proof in reality, and to some extent, that a holiday themed TV show isn't necessarily a great idea. Would you guys maybe fall around that idea? Like maybe the concepts and those things that we love about the holiday movies, all those themings and the stories that have been told, they just work better in movies or shorts. Like I don't really see them working in a long form format, because I can't think of another holiday show unless you guys could come up with something.
No, I was just thinking there's not really one that I can think of that's strictly based on a holiday.
Right, and I think you run out of gas pretty quick. I think,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I mean, Santa Claus, the Yule verse, unless this comes back every December and they're going to go into the Yule verse, as it's called, I just don't find that interesting. And I mean, I know it's for kids, and I think kids will have a decent enough time with it, but there's better things to show them that they'll have more fun with and become more memorable than watching the Santa Clauses together. Even just watching, honestly, just the first 3 movies, I think are better off watching that than watching this whole show. I think you're better off.
Yeah.
And we didn't even love the second 2, so that should tell you something right there, how much we're thinking on this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's tough. But so hearing that there is a season 2 officially announced, Adam, I'm going to start with you. Do you have any hopes of something coming? What would you want to happen come a season 2?
Well, I did have some unanswered questions because I was
boy.
like, well, what happens with, didn't they establish lives back in,
Yeah.
I guess not on the North Pole?
Right.
What happens there?
What happened to the
And-
Mrs. Clauses?
He's still going to get older. Like, Scott can't continue being Santa Claus forever.
I think they're co-Santas now.
All 4 of them at the same time.
Yeah, there's co-Santa. There's no I in Santa anymore. Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know. There's a lot of questions there. The series is at its best when it tries to give you answers to questions every once in a while. That's been throughout the Santa Claus series, when they try to like a rose-colored ladder and stuff like that, or how Santa goes down chimneys and things. I feel like those are fun. That's when this series kind of shines in general, is when they try to come up with cute little ideas. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know where you can take it from here. If anything, I felt like this was just fine. It ended. We're great. I don't really see the need to continue on. John, how about you? You have anything you're looking forward to maybe when the second season rolls around? I'm sure we'll check it out, but
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to anything. Maybe all the Santa Clauses get pushed off the roof and we have a year with no Santa Claus.
yeah. I'll credit them one last thing before we wrap up here is I can appreciate some of the idea of like, there was like a whole destiny behind everything that happened. I think there's some cool ideas there that, Scott Calvin wasn't just a random choice to become Santa Claus. It was kind of like a predestined like experiment kind of idea. There's something fun there. Again, necessary? Absolutely not. There's no reason that should have been explained that way. But, hey, for what it is, I think it's a fun idea. And, I really just, at the end of the day, I really just wish I enjoyed this show a lot more. So with that being said, I think we're ready to give our final scores. I'm going to give the Santa Clauses a D+.
Oh no! It happened again! But then, where's the new Santa? Please let it be Harry Styles. Please, 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 please.
Oh, yeah!
Good one, big man. I wasn't nervous at all.
Somebody get some hay on that.
It's hard to recommend, especially when you have three, one good movie and then two moderately interesting movies to follow it. I think I'd rather just recommend you watch all three of those or just the first one. I think kids will have it, again, like I said, an okay time with this. Parents, you're going to groan and moan a lot more than I think you're expecting to. It could have been so much more. It could have been a lot better. But again, at the end of the day, a holiday show, how far could it have gone? Adam, where do you stand with this?
I am going to give it a C-.
Tyler Wilson, disruptive in the classroom.
Naughty?
Sorry, Santa, but that's classic ADHD.
You're killing me here, Edie.
And actually, sir, we're not supposed to say naughty anymore. It's the misunderstood list, and they also get gifts.
Some of the concepts that they used are good. Some of the jokes they do land. It's just, I know the rest of the show just kind of suffers from just poor management, poor time usage, and I don't know. It's just unnecessary. I won't be watching it again next year.
Oh man, Adam's a hard skip. We'll be looking for him on the next one. John, how about you, my friend? Where do you stand?
I give this a solid D.
Ah! Oh, holy night. The magic reserves are running low.
No, they're not. The gauge is old. Didn't mean work. It's made out of candy or something like that. Couldn't get better than the night. This is a good night. We are cruising good
Why are you
night.
talking weird like that?
It's not weird when I talk like this. It's only weird when I talk like this.
Wait just a taffy licking minute.
For do not waste my time ever again.
I mean, it's fair.
For dumb Disney movie.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder where Disney's gonna go after this. I mean, I'm surprised they renewed it so quickly. I feel like they're not ones to quickly pull the trigger on stuff like this. So that is surprising. So maybe Tim Allen just has a clause in his contract where it has to keep going.
Maybe we have to see 3 more of these.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. If anything, Disney, if you're listening, I doubt you are because you're a multi-million-dollar company, and who are you to watch this little video? But if you happen to be, give us another movie. That's enough. I'll watch a movie. I'll give you an hour and a half of my time. I'm not gonna give you 6 hours of my time, though. Come on, guys. We need something better. Please, God, I'll never get that time back. Anyway, that being said, thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy's Adam. That guy's John. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See ya.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.